The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, welcome back. Another hot episode of the Golden Boot. It's your boy Pooh Bell. Got my man Ant Petty Murphy in the building. What's going on with you, my guy?
Man, trying to see if Gidget can get one more strike.
Listen, I'm trying to keep up with it. Listen, it's the TV behind me, so and not like behind me as in late, like it's literally located behind me. So if you see me turn around, I'm just trying to keep up. Yeah. 3-2.
Yeah.
Listen, I ain't never been as nervous in what started off as a 7-run game, and now it's a 4-run game. All right. So.
Got him, coach. Huge strikeout.
Yeah, you ahead of me. Good one. Good one.
Strikeout.
Man. But man, we got a good show tonight, man. Porter was talking about this game here. Seeing where we're gonna be at. Will they live to fight another day? Show looking like it, but I ain't.
3 more outs, and you got a one more game for your season, bro.
Yeah, winner take all. I start this show off with an error. Because our guest is in the on the West Coast. I have been telling him 6 p.m. Pacific time. I set the time for the show for 6 o'clock. I'm so used to being out there anyway. It was a slow moment. But man, we got some good stuff to talk about tonight. Got baseball. You got a phenomenal baseball story out of D3. We gonna talk about WNBA. I gotta get some a sanity check. I gotta get sanity check, bro. You already know. But we can preview the NBA finals. We kind of talked about it a little bit the other day. I wonder if one of my favorite, not all-time favorites, but a favorite boxer, if he's done. Talk about UFC from last night. Most importantly, we got a special guest coming on. We're gonna talk a little football. Week 1. Get a little preview. See what's going on out there in LA. But first, y'all know what we gotta do. We gotta give a shout out to our sponsors over at BetOnline. BetOnline.ag. We'll be back in 1 minute. BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your sports information, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds, lines, and player injury reports for this year's NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters. This season, we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. We have everything from NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL to golf, tennis, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games that you can play right from your home. Head on over to betonline.ag today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey, we are back. I got the game right here, Dylan. I'm trying to keep up with it. Man, talking about this LSU, this run. It started earlier today, man. It wasn't looking too good. They was down 5. Had to make a major comeback. Bats got hot.
It wasn't looking good for a minute though, man. Started to look like the game versus UNC yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And where the bats just never got going, but they finally woke up late in that game. And when they woke up in a major way.
Yes, they did. I think if they said they scored 20 runs in the last, today alone.
20, I think it's 21 now.
21, yeah. So I need the bats to stay hot for 48 hours.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of worried about is can you save some of these runs for tomorrow?
Yeah. I'm not even pitching. We'll get there.
But at this point, you got. I mean, yeah, you play one more game to North Carolina, but they on the back end of their rotation too. You know what I mean? So the pitching gonna be about what and what. At this point, it's gonna be about who can. Ooh, that was close. You got to see who can get the most out of the lineup. Who can get the situational hitting when you got runners in scoring position. Who can draw some walks, get things going early in innings and things like that. So. Pitching gonna be what it is. It's gonna be all about the bats from here on out.
Right. All right. Trying to keep up with this, because we live watching this happen now. I do want to talk about some of the rest of the games. Arkansas eliminated. Wake Forest eliminated. Vanderbilt eliminated. Alabama eliminated. It's a lot of top teams, a lot of number ones that are out of there. I'll just say this. I'm not a baseball guy. I don't have a spreadsheet. I don't have a clipboard. I don't keep up with stats like that. But I can tell you this: parity is been key.
Yeah.
Looking. Ooh. Big swing. Trying to think who else is it? Arizona out of there. The winner of this regional will host the super regional, whether it be LSU or North Carolina. It's West Virginia is going to take on Grand Canyon tonight. West Virginia wins, they move on. Grand Canyon is trying to fight to have the winner take all game tomorrow.
If you would have told me Arizona didn't win their regional, I wouldn't be that surprised. But if you would have told me that DBU wasn't the team, I would be surprised.
Yeah,
because I pretty much figured that was DBU's regional to win, and so the fact that neither Arizona nor DBU is coming out of their regional is pretty shocking to me.
Yeah, it's funny to think about. Dallas Baptist is a,
they legit.
Yeah, reigning powerhouse. Not powerhouse. I guess I don't know how you describe them, but yeah, that's the team that's been dominating. One of those, I guess, mid majors.
Yeah, like East Carolina.
Yeah. Trying to think who else is High Point still in it. I know they put out.
They got eliminated.
They got eliminated. Okay, I got to pull up what's called the bracket and see who all still in this.
You got Evansville still in it, I think, and I know that was kind of a surprise team early in the regional with what they were able to do, but I don't know if they I think they won their elimination game today, but I don't know what the game is of the second game.
Gotcha. I'm pulling up now. Let's see the bracket here. All right. Tennessee and Southern Miss are playing Kentucky, Indiana State. I want to say that was last year's matchup as well. You got East Carolina versus Evansville, and Evansville is the 2-0 team. That's you got Oregon State versus UC Irvine, UConn and Oklahoma. North Carolina State, and it says James Madison, but I think that's over with because it says 2 losses for James Madison. Florida State, UCF, Georgia Tech, Kansas State, and SEMO.
Yep, that was pretty shocking to me. I figured it would be Arkansas and Louisiana Tech, and that one, and both of them got bounced.
Yeah. Clemson and Coastal Carolina. Virginia has won their the Charlottesville region, and they're moving on. Then you got Oklahoma State and Florida. I think I just saw that. Oklahoma State's up 1-0 right now in the bottom of the second. West Virginia goes Grand Canyon. Get out of there. Double play. All right, let's go. 3 outs. Of course, LSU and UNC, and then you got Texas A&M's taking on the Raging Cajuns.
It's been a pretty bad weekend for Louisiana baseball teams. Other than you got obviously LSU winning a couple games, ULL doing their thing, but Louisiana Tech pretty uneventful weekend for them. Not really living up to what they thought they were going to do in that Fayetteville regional. Tulane and Nichols, somebody had to win the game because they played each other in the elimination game. So I mean, you can't really count that as much of a win. But other than ULL and LSU, really been not much to talk about for Louisiana. Impressive getting 6 teams in, obviously, from such a small state, but whenever they got there, not many of them did anything.
Yeah. I think one of the things that most surprised me, Wake Forest and Vanderbilt going 0-2.
Well, it ain't just the fact that Vandy lost 2 and went 2 and Q. It was the fact that they got 10 runs. I know there's no 10-run rule in the tournament, but they lost by 10 runs, 13-3 in the first game. I mean, just the way they lost more than the fact that they lost for Vanderbilt for me. But yeah, Arkansas losing was pretty surprising, I think, too. Right up there with Vandy, I think.
Yeah. Trying to keep us from getting flagged. This little shirtless boy all in the camera. I guess I'll go ahead and talk about this story while we wait. Birmingham Southern College, small college, D3 college here in Alabama, in Birmingham, obviously. Birmingham Southern College was told pretty much that they're closing down. And as a matter of fact, a day after they closed down, they won the D3 World Series on a walk-off on 2-run, walk-off on home run to win the D3 World Series. What a story.
So technically a school that didn't exist won the World Series.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty. I mean, that's memorable for those guys because they'll most of them will go different places and
they literally had nothing else to play for.
Nothing. No, nothing but pride.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's a hell of a way to go out.
Yeah, so kudos to them making that run and getting out of there. Finishing on top. That's I mean, literally,
Pause.
Oh shoot. Yeah. What up, everybody in chat? I ain't even been talking. What up, Key? What up, Nick? Happy birthday, Nick. Nick somewhere. I don't know what to say. They say he probably made a bad prediction. What's good, Zay? Yeah. So we get into the I mean, it depends. If we finish up, I think our guest is supposed to be here like I think 20, 25 after the hour. If we can get these quick 3 outs, we can talk, you know what I'm saying, WNBA. But we're gonna definitely talk about it. Bro, go. No, get out of here. Yeah. It's like finishing on top, no daddy.
For real.
Oh man. Come on, man. This is nerve-wracking. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else we got baseball wise, tourney wise.
Who you pitch tomorrow, man?
It's a good question. This is gonna sound crazy. I think he rolled back out there with Ackenhouse and set up a bullpen rotation behind that because you Johnny Hole staffing, regardless.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I just wish that Christian Little was available.
Dude, you know how funny that sounds now, you know what I'm saying, from what it was, you know what I'm saying, last year.
I know.
Not last year, early in the season.
Oh, yeah.
Now people are like, man, where's Christian Little? So, but yeah, I agree. I wish Little not being, I think this game is over if Little's able to pitch right now. I think it's still a 7-run game, and we're still at this point where Guidry's finishing it, the game off, where he's closing the game. But I think that this game, those 3 runs don't score.
Yeah. I can see that.
Danny, she's so superstitious. She said, I can't think about a pitcher tomorrow because we're not out of this one yet. You better hope. You better start playing for tomorrow because the day not promised.
Ackenhouse pitched 28 pitches today.
I'm rolling. It's crazy. It sounds. I'm probably rolling with Ackenhouse first.
He was bad today, though, bro.
He was terrible today. Terrible. But I'm still rolling with him. So it's a 1-2 count. At least on my end. I know you're a little bit faster than me. Double play would be nice right here. I don't see it happening.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, double play would be huge right now. Double play gets you.
Coleman is an option. Well, is Coleman an option? Is he on the playoff roster? I'm not sure. No. Come on. 2-2. I'm wanting. I want this to be over with before we bring our guest on because it's not fair to him if we start talking about USC and then be like, hey, you gotta hold on unless you just won. So this is killing me, bro. This is killing me.
That's why I got high blood pressure. I feel like it's an hour between pitches.
Why am I sweating right now watching this pitch?
Every pitch is a fat ball, bro. That's so wet.
This is wild. Oh man. We probably have to end up pulling our guest up in a little bit because I don't want them waiting too long. and that one's out of the zone. If he walks him, man, it's who's left in the bullpen to go to? This is in my opinion, this is Gidry's game, but who's left in the bullpen?
I have no idea, bro.
And he walks him.
They gotta make shit difficult, I guess, right? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they can't just go out there and get 3 strikes. They gotta put a couple runners on base.
I don't even need 3. I just listen. Get me a hit. Dutton's left. Get me a pitch to contact.
I mean, Dutton might start tomorrow.
That's true. Dutton is an option.
Now we got a meeting at the mound.
All right, let's go ahead and get our guest in here, I guess. So we don't
can't keep them waiting forever.
We can't keep waiting. Ladies and gentlemen, bringing in from BLEAV in USC, the host, Mr. Cooper Perkins. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you coming on and having to deal with our baseball talk. How you doing this evening?
I'm good, gentlemen. Thanks for having me on. You know, it's a good thing to have a baseball team still playing this time of year. It's not something us Trojan fans have gotten to say for a minute. So soak it up. It might not be fun in the moment, but it's better than sitting at home.
Yeah, that's true. They got Ackenhouse warming up in the bullpen. I'm sorry. I wasn't going to try not to do baseball while you're on here. But I do want to say, because I want to talk about, before we get to, talking about USC, talk a little bit about yourself. You cover more than just football, and you cover more than just USC from what I saw. I was interested. I saw the lacrosse that you cover as well.
Yeah. That's correct. I cover lacrosse for ESPN, both on national linear broadcasts and streaming on ESPN Plus. That's kind of a weird hybrid league where half of it's in the US, half of it's in Canada. So it's growing. The footprint's getting bigger. I lead the high school football package out here in Southern California on Bally Sports West. So, you ever watch Modern Day St. John Bosco to see some prospects? That's me on the game talking about football and calling some plays. And, just kind of recently in the last few months added the BLEAV in USC podcast to the repertoire. And we got some exciting news set to come out pretty soon about the podcast. Introduced in a new co-host who's going to be pretty awesome. I don't have the liberty to say who it is yet, but it's a Trojan that USC fans, probably national college football fans, will definitely remember from those Pete Carroll 2004, 2005 days.
Yeah. So okay. Reggie Bush is coming on. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, closer than you think.
Oh no. Wild pitch. Wild pitch. So with that, saying all the things you cover and stuff, tell us a little bit more about you. How did you get into broadcast and just, covering all these, vast sports?
Yeah, man. So I went to college at USC. I went there to study finance because like every good 18-year-old white boy, I wanted to make as much money as I could in the private sector. And figured out pretty quick that was not a recipe for happiness long-term. So I tried to pivot and figure out what would be good. And, grew up an SC fan, grew up a big sports fan, and also was a good public speaker and thought maybe those two things could go together. And so happens that the world of broadcasting, that's able to happen. So I got out of school as fast as I could and went and moved all around the country, lived in the Midwest, the Northwest, a bunch of small towns, and got to see the U.S., which is cool, and got to build some experience on TV and on radio. Did some minor league baseball, did some TV in Wisconsin, North Dakota, Washington State. So been around, and they just keep putting me on the air. So until they tell me to pack it up and go home, we're going to keep climbing, right?
Yeah, I heard that.
That's the mentality you need right there. I guess we can start talking a little USC. Similar to LSU, your quarterback of the future, so got to play in the bowl game. You got to see, and Miller Moss put on a performance, major performance. It's crazy as it sounds. Some people are like, okay, we'll be all right without Caleb. But tell us a little bit more about Miller Moss.
So Miller Moss is a rare kid in like the world of modern college football, right? He's been at USC for 4 years, committed out of high school, lost 2 quarterback competitions, but when Lincoln Riley came in, decided that he would stay, he would compete, and inevitably learn behind Caleb Williams and learn from Lincoln Riley under a couple of years. And he's just been committed to the program since the start. He's been locked in with USC. He's a local kid that went to Alemany High School, which is in the San Fernando Valley, maybe 20 miles north of USC. So he's been close. He's been part of an SC family. And he's the kind of kid that I think fans of football should want to root for, because he's bet on himself, saying, I think I'm going to develop well in this situation. I value this school. I value this coaching staff, and I want to give myself a chance to prove them right for taking a chance on me. And in the bowl game, he showed out, man. I mean, he played great. A little bit shaky the first, 2 series maybe against Louisville, but really settled in. And I thought what was impressive about that performance was they had no running game, right? There was no serious threat of running the football, but they were able to be creative and keep him, who is a pocket quarterback, right? He's not a mobile guy. He is nothing like Caleb in that way, and still set him up for success against a Louisville defense that, last season was pretty good, at least for the ACC, right? So I thought that was impressive, and I think he's taking command. They went out and brought in a transfer quarterback from UNLV who initially committed to transfer to Georgia, then flipped to SC, kid's named Jaden Mayava, and he's a really good player, really talented player, but, Miller Moss is the guy who's ready to start. But it was good bringing him in to, build that competition and make them both, try and make each other better. And I think it's interesting. I think there are a lot of parallels, right, between USC and LSU going into this game. You're replacing Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks, replacing your top 2 wide receivers, new defensive coordinator. In the case of LSU, new offensive coordinator, right? You look up and down and you say, man, there's a lot of parallels here. You have to wonder how that shakes out. And that's why it's fun that we get to talk about it today.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next. Kind of similar parallels, both coaching staffs going into year 3 at their respective schools. And I know here at LSU, the expectation is, with the expansion of the playoffs to 12 teams, there's no excuse for you not to be one of those teams in the mix this year to be in the playoffs. Is that the same expectation at USC?
I think it's mostly the same. I think the one area where it's a little bit different is that last season, number 2 under Lincoln Riley was bad. And I think anyone would tell you that it was disappointing. They sucked the second half of the season, and that was pretty rough to watch. And the program, or the team, kind of unraveled in a way that makes you worry about the state of the program. So I think that at USC, there's always an expectation that you should be competing for championships, conference championships, national championships, in this case, college football playoff spots. But I think that there is a marker for success for this season that is a tier below that. I don't think this team has to make the playoffs for fans to be feeling good about where things are going. I don't think the same pressure is on Lincoln Riley as might be on Brian Kelly. I think Brian Kelly has the win big, win now pressure. I think Lincoln Riley has the show big progress right now pressure. And they're both, they're both heavy, but if they lose 3-4 games and are in the conversation, come week 10, week 11, maybe they don't make it, but we were still talking about them the last couple of weeks of the season. I think that's probably good enough.
Yeah. My apologies for the yelling over here. As most of y'all in the chat know, LSU just got the final out, so it'll be a force of Game 7 tomorrow night, winner take all. But let's continue on here. You okay, baby? New DC. Basically, I don't know if it makes it sweeter still from the crosstown rivalry. But you got a new DC. Thoughts on the hire and what it means to USC?
I think it was interesting for a couple of reasons. The first is kind of the classic, if you can't beat them, join them, right? Mm-hmm. He couldn't beat UCLA. He pretty much undressed Lincoln Riley's offense. They could not do anything productive. And so he went out and said, that's, as about as good of a candidate as we're going to find. But the reason I think he's actually a really good hire isn't just, hey, he had one good year at UCLA, he turned around a bad defense. It's where his roots come from, right? He's a John Harbaugh, Baltimore Ravens guy. So he's running that same system that started to catch fire at Michigan and a couple other spots around the country where like that's kind of the it defense right now. And he's bringing his own flavor of that to USC, and he's doing it while also bringing a couple of his best defensive backs from UCLA with him. So like in this era of the transfer portal, right, you can go out and go get some veteran guys that understand the system right away to help you anchor it. And like, that's what he did. So I think that it's really interesting watching them in the spring game, because USC fans will tell you about this all day long. The biggest problem under Alex Grinch was A, that they couldn't tackle, but B, that they always were confused and out of position. And it was evident that they were confused because you got dudes with quarterback wristbands on in the secondary trying to figure out what the defensive play call is as the snap's happening. No one knew where to be. No one ever knew what was going on. And they got torched, as you would imagine, in that kind of situation. The biggest difference in the spring game, no wristbands, clear communication, and it looked like every player on the defense knew what they were supposed to be doing. And like, that sounds like a really remedial, like elementary school level thing to be impressed by. But when you haven't had it and you've seen just how damaging it is to have bad communication and unclear assignments and what that looks like, I think that was a pretty notable change. You know, at USC, one of the big questions is always going to be, how do you play up front? What do you have on the defensive line? Do you have bodies? Answer right now is probably not. You know, they have some guys coming in, some freshmen who will be really good in 2 or 3 years. They did not add anyone major in the transfer portal on the defensive line, which is a big concern. You know, missed out on some big bodies. One guy ended up at Oregon, another guy ended up at TCU, and you know, that's how it shakes out, right? Sometimes if you don't have the biggest bag or don't have the biggest front court press, you're not going to win those guys, and that's okay. You know, but in addition to bringing in D'Anton Lynn, the defensive coordinator, what I thought was so interesting is how much Lincoln Riley pushed in his chips on going out and putting together a really good staff top to bottom on defense, right? Like, he went and got 3 guys who have been defensive coordinators at one place or another, between D'Anton Lynn, Matt Entz, who was a head coach at North Dakota State, who won 2 national championships, Doug Belk, who was the defensive coordinator at one point at Houston, and then went out and got Eric Henderson, who was the defensive line coach for, the Los Angeles Rams, coaching Aaron Donald and that incredible group up front that's dominated the NFL the last couple of years. So like, they pushed in their chips on making defense better. And how much better are they? I don't know. I know they will be significantly better. I don't know if it's a top 30 defense. I don't know if it's a top 50 defense, but I can tell you for sure it's not a bottom 20 like it was the last 2 years. So, you know, you take the progress where it is and you see how much progress that is throughout the season. But, you know, these guys know how to coach and they've got track records to back them up. So, you know, I think if you're looking at USC as an opponent, I don't think you can look at them as the same thing they've been the last 2 years under Lincoln Riley. It's not going to be the same pushover defense. It's not going to be the same group of guys that is consistently out of position and can't tackle. It's going to be a different strain. At the very least, it'll be a disciplined defense that makes you work for your yards and hopefully tackles better. You know, I think that's the worst case scenario for SC's defense. And you know, as you project those first few games and first few matchups, when you try and figure out how those things line up, you have to look at that, that defense as, worst case scenario, it's probably going to be in like that 70 to 75 range, kind of lower middle tier. Best case, it's maybe top 30, but it's not going to be below 75 just based on A, the pieces that they brought in on the coaching staff, and B, the kind of experience that they brought in the secondary to anchor down at least the back end of that defense. I think they'll be a lot better. And I think that's going to be an interesting piece when you pair it with that offense that has consistently scored points wherever Lincoln Riley's been.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go to next. I know everybody talks about USC losing Caleb Williams, which is obviously a big deal whenever you arguably the best quarterback in the country leaves a university. But you're also replacing Brendan Rice, Marshawn Lloyd, a couple other guys off that offense as well, who were pretty productive in their own right. Obviously, Zachariah Branch's talent speaks for itself, but what other pieces do y'all have on offense that are going to be kind of having to step up to replace the production y'all lost?
All right, well, there's one name to start with right off the top that I think every fan in college football is going to know real soon. It's Jacoby Lane. Jacoby Lane is a 6'4" wide receiver from Phoenix, Arizona. He's a true freshman last year. kind of hit and miss. You know, as freshman receivers tend to kind of struggle integrating into college offenses. He was a slow acclimator, but he was a beast in the bowl game. And he's the classic high point, throw it up, he'll go get it, but with enough speed to separate. So I think that what you're going to end up seeing is this is a receiving core that's really talented but young. You know, it's not just Zachariah Branch, who's a sophomore. It's also Lane, who's a sophomore, Mekhi Lemon, who's a sophomore, and Deuce Robinson, who is a sophomore, who is kind of a hybrid tight end wide receiver. They play him as a wide receiver because he's got the speed for it, but he's another big 6'5", you know, top 10 round pick in baseball, you know, so like he's a legit athlete. And then at the running back position, they went out and got Woody Marks from Mississippi State, who SEC fans should know well, is a really good receiver out of the backfield. And also have a couple of sophomore tailbacks in Quentin Joyner and was blanking on the second name, excuse me, but two guys, Marion Peterson. There it is, excuse me. Quentin Joyner and Marion Peterson, two guys that have been in the system for a year and had some flashes in the carries that they got. And, you know, I think the things that you lose with those players, you lose a little bit of explosiveness, you lose experience. But, you know, Marshawn Lloyd didn't get that heavy of a workload because he had a fumbling problem. You know, he coughed it up 8 times last year. That was a big problem. You know, you look at the receivers, Brendan Rice came into his own, but had some drop issues, and that was a problem. Taj Washington, I think, is the toughest guy to replace, but you're not in need of replacing a security blanket in the same way that you would be if Caleb Williams was coming back, right? Like every quarterback has their favorite receiver. Taj Washington was that to Caleb Williams. He's not really that to Miller Moss. You know, like they don't have that kind of rapport. So you get to start fresh with a new quarterback and develop with those receivers. And I think they have a lot of talent. The question is just going to be how quickly do they grow up, because the ceiling's really high, but my guess is as good as yours as to what happens. I don't know. I mean, they could be great. We could have 2,000-yard receivers next year. We could have, 4 sophomores that have a hard time catching the football. Can't tell you which one it's going to be, but really high ceiling, pretty low floor, but there's a lot of room in the middle there where some interesting things could happen.
Yeah.
Hey, Cooper, a lot of things have changed for USC. We talked about the coaching staff. One of the biggest things, all the changing conferences as well. Going to the Big Ten, in your mind or your opinion, how does this help and or hurt USC?
I think it helped USC a lot more originally when the announcement happened, when it was just USC and UCLA. I think Oregon and Washington joining them, makes that a little bit less sweet and doesn't. What would have been a really valuable recruiting tool isn't quite as valuable with the Pac-12 not existing anymore. But what I think it brings to SC in the big picture is the opportunity to compete on a national stage where everyone is watching every week in a way that was never going to be true in the Pac-12, right? Doesn't matter how many good Pac-12 teams are. People on the East Coast are never staying up until 10 o'clock to watch kickoff of Oregon State play Oregon. This is not going to happen. That's okay. Doesn't matter. But that's something that they get away from now, which is good. One thing that they now have to contend with that is tough is every year you're going to see some combination of Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, Washington, and Wisconsin. You're probably going to see at least 3, sometimes 5, maybe 6 of those in a bad year. And that's a rough schedule. That's rough, especially as you're USC, right? And you're going to schedule Notre Dame every year. So add one more tough game into that equation. And, in a year like next season where you got LSU week 1, right? Like that's a tough schedule. That's tough for anybody. It's tough to win 2 of those games, let alone 6 of them. And so, what you add in exposure, you also have to contend with in quality of competition now, which, I think most players would say they like. I don't know how true that is. I think most people around college football, when you have your fandom, when you are on a team, I think you like to have those cupcakes here and there. And it's not something that they're going to get a lot of. But I don't know. I think the Big Ten's an interesting situation because, I think that the whole conversation about USC, Oregon, Washington, they're going to have to adjust to Big Ten football. I think that's a load of garbage because outside of Ohio State, Michigan, no one's all that good. Penn State is a consistently pretty solid program, but Wisconsin gets beat by Washington State every year. Michigan State stinks. Minnesota, who's scared of Minnesota? Yeah, I get that Iowa has a good defense, but 3/4 of the offenses in the Big Ten can't throw the like. They're just learning that the forward pass was invented. So, like, how much of these is going to be adjusting to an offense like Iowa that is, 3 yards of cloud of dust and then pump? That's their game plan. I think that there's a reason why Ohio State and Michigan continuously dominate the conference, because they pretty much always have the best quarterbacks and the best perimeter talent. And they're good in other places, right? Like, they got good offensive lines. Michigan's got a great defensive line. They're not just perimeter teams, but they're the best perimeter teams in their own conference, and they smoke those teams by 50 on a regular basis. So I'm not USC and Oregon and Washington are going to come in and light the world on fire. I'm just saying, I don't think it's going to be as tough of a transition for them as people might think, because, Wisconsin's not Wisconsin of 10 years ago. Melvin Ingram through the door. That's not going to happen. Like, Ron Dane isn't going to show up for Wisconsin. They're still solid. Luke Fickell's a good coach, but, like, what are we talking about? It's not 2000. It's not 1990. Like, Big Ten football's dead. Ohio State wins by running the air raid. Like, it's silly to me. I don't get it. So I think it'll be an interesting, first year or two to watch it unfold. I think USC is in as good of a position as anybody to compete. I don't think they're Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon level right now, but they're, a year or two of solid classes and quality development away from being there. And, like, that's all you can ask for at this stage is, be in a position to be in a position.
Yeah. And you kind of mentioned what I was going to kind of speak on next. I'm pretty sure you saw the story that came out about Lincoln Riley and USC trying to get out of the game versus LSU. And whenever I saw the story, I was like, hell, I would too. You know what I mean? If you're going to the Big Ten, you have to play, Michigan and those Ohio State probably multiple times if you're going to make it to the conference championship game. And then you talk about there being a 12-team playoff. There's no need for that extra tough out-of-conference game now, because you don't have to look at, nitpick between strength of schedule. Who did you play in out-of-conference versus who did you play in out-of-conference? It's not going to be any of that anymore on that same scale as it was in the past. Hell, we just saw Michigan win the national championship, and one of their toughest games out of conference was UNLV. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you don't have to play these big headline matchups. So I was understanding where Lincoln Riley and USC was coming from, and I wouldn't mind if LSU was looking to schedule less of these games, because while it's great for the fans, to have these big time matchups, it doesn't necessarily help your cause in making the playoff if you lose that game. I think it does more damage losing than winning helps your cause. So what was your thoughts whenever you saw that story, and how do you feel about playing these types of matchups?
Yeah, I think you hit on a lot of really accurate points there. And, I had two thoughts right away when I saw the story. My first was disappointment, because, the USC that I grew up watching and that I think is what USC is supposed to be is the one that is happy to go play Auburn down in Alabama week 1 and beat them 27-0. Like, classic USC football is we'll go play Alabama in Birmingham and make Bear Bryant integrate his team. We beat them so bad. Like, that's USC football at its core. So I don't like it. It bums me out because it's kind of chicken shit. But what you're saying is right. It doesn't help you. There is very little value to it. And so I think it becomes a question of, like, how badly do you want to win, as opposed to how much do you want to keep alive the thing that you love. And I think eventually these games are going to be gone, which, is what it is. It's not awesome, but as you pointed out really succinctly, there's not a reason for them going forward. It's, lose pretty much, with the one exception of recruiting. I will say I think these games do have a lot of value from a recruiting standpoint, because, how else are you going to get into the room with a kid from Shreveport, Louisiana, if you're USC? That's a tough sell to a kid like Jakeem Stewart, right? Top recruit in the 2026 class who might reclassify. If you go play LSU, all of a sudden there's a reason to watch. You see what they're doing. If you win that game, hey, that's an interesting conversation. Maybe I should take a visit there. Maybe I should answer Lincoln Riley's call. So I think that there's a lot of advantage from a recruiting standpoint, and it goes both ways. It's not just USC. Like that works for LSU too, right? You go play in Las Vegas, you're right there at Bishop Gorman. You're going to have a ton of kids on the sideline that are national recruits. You're in the back door for modern day St. John Bosco, the best programs in the West Coast. Having a little bit more footprint out here doesn't hurt. When they came out and played UCLA a couple of years ago, that was a good thing for recruiting. Like those kids remember those games. And, I think that, if you're Lincoln Riley and USC, at this point, the recruiting is probably more valuable than just a generic win. I think they're trying to build a program and convince national recruits that USC is a viable option. So sticking in and playing LSU is a pretty good idea. You might not win the game, but you're in a conversation you wouldn't be otherwise, right? Like they have a home scheduled with Ole Miss next year and the year after. And there's a lot of conversation that might end up happening. It might not end up happening. And, I hope it does, not just because it's fun and you want to see that matchup. It'd be fun to have Lane Kiffin coming back to the Coliseum. Yeah. Right? Who wouldn't want to see that? But also it's good for everybody from a recruiting standpoint. Kiff's going to need a quarterback pretty soon. Not a bad thing to come out to California. SC needs some defensive linemen bad. Maybe get out to Mississippi. Those things are, there's a trade that goes on there. And I think it's a good thing. But, I think at the end of the day, you're spot on the field in trying to win championships does not help anybody. And for that reason, I think the next, year or two is probably going to be the end of us seeing these games.
Yeah, that's a good point about the recruiting. I never thought about it that way, but it bring eyeballs to your program on a different region of the country than you probably would be used to having. So that's a great point.
Especially in like this era of recruiting, right? Where schools don't recruit geographically, they recruit by body type and position, right? And like, where you have to go to get certain kinds of players. That's why everyone's coming to California for quarterbacks and everyone's going to the South for linemen. And that's why everyone's going to Florida for DBs and they're going to Wisconsin for offensive linemen because they understand that certain parts of the country just have these kinds of players. They have these body types. They have these kinds of talents. And you can't afford to be just a geographical recruiter, right? Like Alabama couldn't win national championships with quarterbacks from Alabama. So they went out and got guys like Bryce Young and it worked, right? Like that's the kind of change that's happening in college football. So every team I think is kind of becoming aware of this if they weren't already, that you kind of have to recruit nationally. The days of USC just only recruiting California and winning national championships, that is never going to happen again.
I hate to defend Alabama, but I do want to say this. Ironically, outside of the Tua, Jalen Hurts mesh of a championship, the only times they won championships were with those Alabama. They had great talent in Bryce Young and some of the other quarterbacks, but it was AJ McCarron.
That's true. I mean, I think also
Coker.
You're spot on, man.
Mac Jones.
Why? I think the difference, though, the one exception there is that Mac Jones, right, was able to orchestrate an offense that was modern football, right? Like AJ McCarron and throw it way back to the early Saban days. Like those guys were not running modern offenses. No, they ran like 1970s era football.
They ran handoff to the running back who's a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, and like Saban said it himself, he hates the spread offense. Like he tried to get that rule passed with Bielema, Wisconsin, to make you have to take a certain number of seconds off the play clock before snapping. But he came around to it because he recognized you can't win, handing the ball off and getting out of the way. You got to have a quarterback. I think that's where it's headed, and all these coaches know that's where it's headed.
Yeah. With that said, and I'm done defending Alabama. Some of the best quarterbacks. Thank you for Jaden coming out of California. That was amazing. Man, Cooper, it's been amazing having you on. I truly do appreciate. We truly appreciate it. Learned a lot about USC. Trying to think if I have any other.
I got one question.
There you go.
You don't have to give me like a number or nothing like that, but expectation for the season.
That's why I was
like wins or losses or nothing, but like, what's your expectation for this year?
My expectation is that USC is going to surprise people nationally. Okay. I think they're going to be better than almost all of the national analysts are saying, because I think there is an echo chamber talking about the defense as like this thing that can't get better. You know, it's like we've just come to assume USC's defense is going to be terrible because it used to be terrible. And I'm pretty confident the defense is going to be better. I don't know how good, but better. And that makes a big difference because like Lincoln Riley teams have always been hold them under 30 and we'll win. He's lost 2 games ever when giving up fewer than 30 points. Like that's the number.
Wow.
You hold them under 30, they're not going to lose.
That's a hell of a stat.
So you know, if that defense can give up 28 a game, that's a team that could win 10 games. Now it's a tough schedule. It's really tough. I tend to think the likeliest situation is that they start the season 2-1. I think they're going to split between LSU and Michigan and beat Utah State in the middle. I couldn't tell you which one of those 2 games I think they're going to win. I have no idea, but I think they'll get one of them. And if that happens, I think this team wins at fewest 8 games, at most probably 10. If they start 1-2, I think the ceiling's 9 games. Probably they win 7 or 8. But I don't see them struggling a whole lot with some of those, you know, mid-tier Big Ten matchups. I don't see Wisconsin being that spooky, or, you know, Minnesota or Rutgers on a Friday night. Like Rutgers is coming to the Coliseum and playing on a Friday night at 11 o'clock Eastern time. Like, they're not going to win that game. Even if they play their best game of the season, they're not going to win that game. Those guys are going to be asleep by halftime. It's crazy. You know, so I think the expectations overall, I think the ceiling is 10 regular season wins. I think the floor is about 7. The likeliest is probably 9. I think there's a possibility that Miller Moss could play his way into the first round of next year's draft, just based on how Lincoln Riley quarterbacks have tended to play, throw up numbers, develop. I think there's a possibility that he struggles, but I don't think it's very likely. And I think it's all going to come down to how well does the front 7 hold up on defense, and how well did they tackle? If they tackle well, it's a 10-win team. If they tackle poorly, it's a 7-win team. And there are a couple, you know, things in the middle. As we all know, right, when you watch college football, every team has like 4 games a year that are coin flips, just watching how they play out, right? You might win by a touchdown, might be a field goal, might be 2 touchdowns, but like when you watch the game, you know, yeah, this was a 50-50. Some years you win one of those. Some years you win all 4 of them. Some years you split them 2-2. Last year, they lost all of those. 2 years ago, they won all of those. This year, we'll see how it plays out, but I bet you that they probably win, you know, 1 or 2 of them, lose 1 or 2 of them. And as long as they take care of business in the matchups that they should, it's an 8-9 win team probably.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I do. Before we let you go, Cooper, I want to say Pac-12 After Dark was one of the most. It was probably the smartest, one of the smartest ideas you could have. But it's just I don't know where the disconnect was, you know. But
East Coast media runs things.
That's,
you know what I mean, and East Coast media ain't staying up to watch Pac-12 After Dark, so the Pac-12 don't get the rightful coverage they deserve unless you have a Caleb Williams or Jacob Herbert. I mean Justin Herbert or somebody like that, you know. But Anthony Gordon was up at Washington State putting up crazy numbers, but because he was playing at Washington State, nobody talked about it.
Yeah,
spot on, man. Couldn't say it better myself.
All right, Cooper. Before we go, I'm gonna give you time to you know, tell everybody where they can find your stuff. NCAA college football is returning. What feature are you looking forward to the most?
Dude, I've been playing the same copy of NCAA 14 on a 10-year-old PS3 for a decade. And I'm not a big video game guy usually. Like this was my game growing up as a kid. And I realized like I got to go buy a PS5 just to buy this game. And the thing I'm most stoked about is the transfer portal. Getting in there, recruiting, raiding the transfer portal. Like from what I understand, it's going to be tougher to like go win a natty with like James Madison or, you know, App State. Like it's supposed to be more difficult because it's more realistic now. But like I'll take my chances. Let's see. Yeah. You know? Maybe I can. We'll see what happens. It'll be fun. I'm excited about it. It's be good.
All right, Mr. Cooper, tell everybody where they can find you.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at Cooper Perkins TV. Same thing on TikTok, Cooper Perkins TV. Instagram at World of Coop. You can download all the episodes of the BLEAV in USC podcast. However you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the BLEAV website itself. We got a new one dropping tomorrow, which will be fun. Hopefully, I'll be able to announce some news pretty soon here about who is coming on to join the podcast. It's going to be pretty awesome. Very excited about that. I think it's going to take things to a whole new level and really make it interesting. And, always looking to field questions. So whether you're a USC fan, LSU fan, or just a college football fan, reach out any way you want. You can do it via any social media platform. We take questions, every 2 or 3 episodes, and we would love to hear from you. Again, that's at Cooper Perkins TV on Instagram, or on Twitter and TikTok, and at World of Coop on Instagram. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to make that known.
Hey, no problem. I don't know if if Bet Online has it in there, but I'm doing plus 500. Reggie Bush is the new co-host.
Man, that'd be cool. Man. That'd be cool. I don't think so, but you're pretty close. Pretty close.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
it's gonna be Ray Malaluga or somebody like that.
Oh, it's just. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cooper Perkins of BLEAV in USC. Thank you for joining us.
It's a great guest.
Oh, excellent, man.
Great guest.
I learned a lot about USC. I actually enjoyed it.
I think I'm a little more worried about USC now.
I am definitely worried about that defense a little bit more.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he had brought in all that staff like that.
Yeah.
Doug was a DC for Houston and like a DB coach for Houston, great DB coach. We all know how good Eric Henderson is. Some of us wanted him to be the next D-line coach at LSU. Mm-hmm. So
Nick said if LSU lose, I'm gonna beat USC by 60 in NCAA. That's funny. Oh man,
do that anyway, but
yeah. All right, man. I know you don't want to. Let's go ahead and talk about this.
I don't want to.
I know. We got to talk about this. Indiana Fever took on the Chicago Sky yesterday. It was first of all, the game itself, excellent game, great game. But the whole Caitlin Clark must be saved. Protect this white goddess forever,
like the damsel in distress type shit.
Yeah, it's I'm so sick of it. But
it's victimization, whatever the word you want to use is, at its finest, bro. Because all we see is the clip of Kennedy Carter bumping into or whatever in the flagrant foul. But what we don't see is the little elbows, the little pushes in the back all game long from Caitlin Clark towards Carter, which instigates and starts this whole ass fuel to the fire the whole game. All we see is when somebody retaliates that, oh my God, they just hate Caitlin Clark. She's such an innocent little victim and all this kind of stuff, bro. That's what I hate about it, man.
If you look at the play, because people's like, show the play before. Look at the play before. Shot goes up. Caitlin pushes Kennedy in the back. That's one. Another part of it, she hits her in the face. It looks like it's incidental or saying it wasn't, it was I'm not saying involuntary. It don't look like it was accidental. She hits her in the face. But all that ass, but then she talks trash to her after it happens too. But they don't show that part the most. What pisses me off about it, I've seen so many Emmanuel Achos out there, oh, this is why they hate her. Oh, this is why.
It's Django, man.
Stephen Fetching. I'm sick. Listen, Caitlin Clark is a great basketball player. Nobody said anything about Diana Taurasi. Nobody said anything about Sabrina Ionescu. Nobody said anything about Breonna Stewart, who have all, been better versions of Caitlin Clark at different times. Kelsey Plum. What's the other one? What's the one who record she just broke? Was that Kelsey Plum?
Yes, Kelsey.
Yes. Plum. So by the way, Waller he fumbled the bag. But anyway.
But I just like the narrative behind this Caitlin Clark thing is like I saw somebody post today comparing Diana Taurasi's stats and Caitlin Clark's stats.
I saw
Diana
that too.
Taurasi is 41. Hey, what are we doing, people?
I saw somebody comparing Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and somebody had to point out, it was like, one is a role player that's pretty much, hey, get it off the board. One is a scoring point guard.
It's the people who never watched the WNBA.
Basketball, period.
No. Let me finish. People who never watched the WNBA, media outlets who used to mock the WNBA, like strictly just come out and make a mockery of the WNBA, lower the rims and all this kind of shit. You know what I mean? Now all of a sudden they're saying that the game is too physical. Y'all weren't around whenever Brittany Griner was about to fight the whole team. Y'all weren't around when Diana Taurasi kissed Simone Augustus on the cheek whenever they was face to face talking trash to each other. Y'all weren't around whenever the Detroit Shock had a brawl at a game. Y'all weren't around for all this. Y'all don't know what y'all are talking about. And so all of a sudden now, because Caitlin Clark enters this different atmosphere and she gets welcome to the league, y'all all of a sudden trying to make her a victim. No, she needs to realize where she's at now. This ain't the Big Ten anymore. You're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy, or Iowa, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't what you used to. You have to adapt. Every rookie had to go through it. Nobody was coming to Angel Reese defense whenever AT threw her to the ground. But all of a sudden, the hip check got people not wanting to watch the WNBA no more. Man, get out of here, bro. If you don't want to watch the WNBA no more because of a flagrant foul, then you in the wrong place.
I'm glad you said that about you're not in the Big Ten anymore. Clips have come out. Well, Caitlin Clark was doing this last year to different players, pushing players down, knocking them over, talking trash, running them off, crying to the referees. Oh, that part hadn't changed. But yeah. Turn it down. But yeah,
I'm sick of it, dog. It was more fun when nobody watched.
But I do want to say, what a debut by Camila Cardozo. She came in, huh?
She ain't play enough. That was my only problem.
She ain't yeah, she didn't. But when she was in there, she was definitely.
Oh yeah, she was
the battle. The battle between her and Aaliyah Boston was so fun to watch.
Yeah,
so fun to watch.
And see, that's another thing. People don't know what they be talking about, because I saw a lot of people saying Aaliyah was terrible yesterday. Like, man, she had a great game. I mean, you like look at the box score and look at her. She was like 3 of 10 or at 3 of 7 at one point or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, but you got to actually watch the game.
That's why I literally said,
watch what she does and how she brings Cardoso out, opens things up for other players. You know what I mean? Like, watch how she battles on boards versus. Like, you gotta watch the actual game. There's too many box score watchers and too many social media clip watchers. Like, that's the part I got a problem with, Murray.
Yeah, I get it. But man, I'm gonna continue to watch. Like I said, I've enjoyed. I've actually started. It's funny because I wonder about people. Like, where did they go? You know, Erica Wheeler. That's the chick. She came from Arizona, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering. I was like, man, she had that one. You know, when Arizona went to the championship and stuff, I was like, man, what happened with her? You know, what is the? It was either her or maybe I might be thinking about. I think it McDonald. Either way, I wonder about some of these players and stuff, and then I see them like, oh, now I'm like, man, I'm hooked to this WNBA, man, watching it and stuff, and it's good stuff. And I'm actually watching the game, not just the box score, and I'm not just watching for one player. And I'm enjoying. Somebody did a thing comparing Kennedy Carter with Caitlin Clark. It's funny because it's always a comparison with Caitlin Clark. This league.
I think Kennedy didn't help herself whenever she said on social media, besides shooting threes, what does she bring to the game? Like,
I mean,
she didn't help her. She didn't help her cause.
She didn't.
Not when somebody's averaging like 6 assists or 7 assists, 6 rebounds, something like that. But that don't help your cause. But all I'm gonna say is, social media is the problem, I think, because it gives too many people voices, and people who shouldn't have a platform get a platform, and they don't watch the games, or they don't, they only watch Indiana Fever game. You know what I mean? And so it's like these narratives, like Nick say, these people start spinning their own narratives and pushing certain things when it ain't really what should be pushed, and it ain't really the totality of the situation.
Man, I shouldn't have gotten into an argument, but or back and forth. Somebody said that foul is the reason they lost the game. I said, huh?
No.
I was like, so a foul, and this is the logic I'm trying to. A foul that happened in the third quarter. They lost by 1 point. I get that. But the foul that happened in the third quarter is the reason they lost the game when they missed 6 free throws.
People don't know what they're talking about, bro.
They missed other shots. Hell, they missed They missed a free throw with 9 seconds left in the game.
Yep.
Poor situational awareness.
Marina Mabry missed the free throw.
I know. Poor situational awareness. Mabry, it was Mabry's player. She was guarding Erica Wheeler. Erica Wheeler wearing in the backcourt.
Yep.
And it's like poor situational awareness. But no, it was a foul that happened in the third quarter that lost them the game. I'm so sick of y'all foolishness.
They got beat by 40 tonight.
Good. It was a foul they committed in the first quarter. That was the reason why they lost.
68.
It was a foul they committed in. What did somebody did they harm Caitlin? Is she okay? She all right?
She was 1 for 10 from the floor.
Oh, they guarded her too hard.
I think she got hurt actually.
So, oh, by the way, it was another story came out. It was kind of outlandish, but she's in. She has the potential to be suspended this year. Because she is halfway to the technical foul limit. But yeah. Moving on.
So hold on. Before we move on. So Caitlin Clark was 1 of 10 tonight, 1 of 7 from 3 with 3 points. 41-year-old Diana Taurasi tonight had 31 points, 9 of 14 shooting, 7 of 9 from 3. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's other things we could be talking about besides Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
This is year 41, man. She's 41 years old and she's going out there dropping stat lines like that, man. Come on,
man. Yeah. Moving on, man. NBA Finals preview. We now know officially Dallas Mavericks versus Boston Celtics. You had said before that you don't think anybody's beating Boston. Still stand by it?
Nah, not the way they playing. They too inconsistent, man. Like they let an Indiana team without Halliburton get a game. There's no way that should have happened.
They didn't get a game. They swept.
I thought they won in 5. I thought Indiana won game 3.
Did they? I thought they swept. Let me double check. I think they swept and won.
You're right. They did sweep. They did.
Yeah. They should have. Indiana had several games where they had a chance to win. Up late, and
they had. That's my point. They had an injured Halliburton early in the series. No Halliburton in the last 2 games, and they won by 3 both times without Halliburton.
I'll tell you something about that too.
You should be taking care of business versus a team like that, not eking out wins. You know what I mean? So like I feel like if they allow games to be close like that, Luka in close games, it's hard to bet against him. Because of the way he can finish and take over games late. Plus, you throw in the fact that they got 2 closers, 2 finishers, arguably 2 of the best in the game, in Kyrie and Luka. I'm taking Kyrie and Luka to close out a game versus Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You know what I mean? So I feel like if it comes down to close games, Dallas is an advantage. But if you look at the teams, Boston should have an advantage because I feel like they're deeper.
If Porzingis don't play, Gafford gonna go off.
Yeah, but it's Lively healthy. You know what I'm saying? Because he got hurt. He got hurt late in that game.
Yeah, so.
And plus, you got the like Kyrie hasn't won in Boston since he stomped on that little logo that time.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like you got other external factors in this situation with Kyrie coming back to Boston. You got Porzingis going back to Dallas. So there's the storylines and all this drama that's added to the series.
I like Dallas in the series. I don't know if it's
6 or 7.
I don't know if it's low key, just me just not want to see Boston win, or if I actually.
I'm rooting for Dallas. I'm rooting for Dallas.
I don't know if I just truly, like you said, if I'm just truly rooting for Dallas, or if it's just honestly. I heard somebody talking about on the radio the other day. This Kyrie redemption story. The NBA pretty much wrote him off after the whole vaccination thing and everything. With the video.
All that, yeah.
Nobody's talking about nobody's talking about like his growth as a person. His him we talked about the other night. You talked about him possibly being one of the best, say number 2s. Him accepting that role as a number 2 and not letting it affect his leadership. It's just, I think it's big. It's a story that I think the NBA is missing out on.
They don't want to push the story.
Exactly.
They're not on it. Missing out on it would be them like not seeing what they had. They know what the story is there. They just don't want to. They don't want to publicize it. When has the media ever admitted they were wrong about something, or when has the media ever given somebody grace to admit that person may have made a mistake and have grown from that? Like, you don't see that from the media, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, but Kyrie, man, I'm pulling for him. Nick said
only reason I would want Boston to win is for Drew Holiday.
That's true, but Drew got him one already, so
I know that's why it ain't really that big of a deal.
Yeah, Nick says he want Boston to win because F Luka.
I mean, y'all could have drafted Luka, but instead y'all wanted DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. Moving on.
How you think it feel?
How you think who feel?
Atlanta.
LA. You say Atlanta. How you think the Lakers feel knowing they could have got, because Kyrie came out and said he was ready to go to LA.
That ain't happening. They ain't have enough pieces to go get him, man. I mean, but the Hawks
drafted him. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, Luke in Atlanta would have been interesting. The fight last night, man. Poirier, he gave it his all, man. He did. I mean, he did everything he could to win that fight, and it just
It was a great fight.
Makhachev was just like he went into like fight or flight, and he fought, and he went when he went for that submission, it was a wrap. That was like a last ditch effort.
Yeah, but
because he was getting whooped on his feet.
He got it though, man. He pulled. I mean, that was to me that was the second most impressive submission of the night. The most impressive was Kevin Hollis breaking old boys.
Oh my goodness. I was gonna talk about that. Listen, I have seen twice. That's probably the third time I've seen. The first time I saw somebody like arm break or something like that. No, that's the third, the fourth. I mean, the first time is when I first started watching UFC. I was deployed, and I saw somebody get it, and dude, he was trying to get him to tap. He went tap, and it broke, and I was just like, oh, let's watch this. Okay, I was like, all right, this is a sport. The next time, Jamal Hill. No, it was a women's fight, and a woman got her arm broke. Then it was Jamal Hill. He got his arm broke. Then last night, yeah, Kevin Holland I was impressed at him getting knocked down and pulling it off on the ground. Yeah. That's the second time I've seen Kevin Holland win a fight on the ground. The first time when Jacare had him on his back and he knocked him out from his from the ground. He stood up and he
just I don't know. He fight almost kind of scared to me. You know what I'm saying? He just kind of looked like he just reactive. You know what I mean? Like instead of being the one the aggressive, but it worked for him, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Man, but last night fight card was pretty good.
That one fight was boring.
The one before that, the
versus that was boring.
Yeah, that was Strickland. So I do. So what's good, Doc? I do want to say this. I say that's my catch line. I do want to say this. Something that I hate. We keep saying stop putting politics in sports. Stop putting politics in sports. And they made an effort. They mentioned Trump being in the building so many times. And every fighter would come up and say something to Trump, or they would, Strickland, I'm going to donate to you and all this kind of stuff. Stop making it political. Period. Y'all keep telling y'all tell everybody else stop making sports political. Quit bringing politics into it, or tell the athletes to shut up and dribble. But then you come and you want to showcase, and that was aggravating me. But I digress. I can move on. I don't even know how to pronounce dude's first name, but Zhang knocked out.
Oh my God, boy, he's still knocked out right now.
He knocked out Deontay Wilder in the 5th round. I'm talking. He hit him so hard, Deontay turned and went to his corner, walked back to his corner, was for ask him what happened, and then got hit again and knocked out.
The referee would have. He didn't know where he was at.
Question: is Deontay Wilder done?
Yes. Definitely. He been done, in my opinion, but he been done ever since Fury knocked his ass out the second time.
He got away from, yeah.
I mean, he was a one-trick pony, man. He never really evolved as a fighter.
That one trick got him 43 and in a row. I mean, I agree.
Against who though?
I think the biggest win was it was the Spanish dude. God, what's
the one who knocked him down first, and then he knocked him. Got lucky and knocked him out, and
then he came back and fought him again though later on and knocked him out. But yeah, I can't think of the kid's name. I keep want to say Ruiz, but not Anthony Ruiz. Somebody else.
It was started with an M. I want to think. I know who you talking about though. But yeah, that he got lucky that first one. He should have lost.
Yeah, he did.
Was it Manuel?
I think that sound right. I'm pulling it up now.
Nah, I was a fan of his. He just never evolved. Whenever he fought somebody big, he just never really, you know what I'm saying? He ran through all them lower level guys.
Was it Molina?
No. That don't sound right.
That's the only one I see. Because he fought him twice. I'm trying to find. Okay.
Oh, it was Ortiz. I don't know why I said it started with
Ortiz. Okay, Luis Ortiz.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah. But yeah, that was his best. That was his probably best win though. I give you that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he fought Fury the first time and was getting beat, and then
knocked Fury down twice.
And it was split decision, and then got his ass beat both the other two times versus Fury. But I had high hopes for him around the time he fought Fury and all that. He just never evolved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I still got more respect for him than Anthony Joshua, though.
Definitely. You got anything else before we get ready to get up out of here? What you got? Oh, Dylan want me to tell you the theory about Tyson Fury. He said he saw it on YouTube. Said Tyson Fury cheats every fight. Said he has a false thumb or something. He put in a detachable thumb and it puts it in something. It's like in the glove, like he slides it in the glove, and so when he hits, he hits with the palm of the glove, and so that's how he knocks everybody out. That's Dylan's theory from YouTube.
Man, Anthony Joshua is not that guy, dude.
No, he's not.
Joshua wouldn't. I would fight Usyk then if he that guy.
He ain't gonna fight. He still won't fight Fury now. I mean, not Fury. He still won't fight Deontay Wilder now.
Nah, he trying to fight like Francis Ngannou and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like he ain't trying to box nobody.
Fight Big Baby. Jerry Anderson. Jerry Anderson still ain't ready, but I think he'll take Joshua.
Joshua ain't about that life, man.
Mm-mm.
What happened when he fought Usyk both times? Ills.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
And how we know, bro? He ain't gonna fight Anderson. He too busy fighting Francis Ngannou, bro. Fighting. He done switched to Jake Paul level boxing now, bro.
He said Usyk is one of the greatest boxers in history. Nobody had even heard of Usyk for real until recently.
This dude says he is now, but
he
wasn't at the time whenever he beat Joshua ass. Nobody then.
Mm-mm.
Man, he said he wasn't paying attention, bro. Usyk had fought 17 fights whenever he had beat him, bro. Like, let's be for real.
Oh man. Man, it's this because we while we on the back end. What do you think LSU's chances are now to beat UNC tomorrow?
I just hope they keep them bats alive, bro. They got a 50-50 shot. It all depends on the bats.
I feel you. Trying to think. I gotta check out some of the rest of the scores while we at it. Let's see where we at. Oh, looks like Kansas State. So we got winners so far. We got Tennessee, Florida State, Georgia, North Carolina State, Virginia, Kansas State, Clemson. Those are all the teams who have punched their tickets so far. Let's see where we at now. West Virginia is up 7-3, top of the fourth. Texas A&M is up 6-1, top of the seventh. Oklahoma State up 2-1, bottom of the fifth. Oregon's up 2-0 going into the sixth. Tied 3-3, bottom of the fourth between UConn and Oklahoma. Oregon State is up 5-4 and top of the fourth. And let's see this East Carolina. Oh, shoot. East Carolina beat Evansville 19-6, so they'll be playing tomorrow. And in the Kentucky, Indiana State, Kentucky is up. Oh, Kentucky is won 5-0. And they'll be moving on. All right, hold on. Give me 1 second. All right. Did you hear Dylan?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna fight him. Tell him all my business. Trying to see what else we got going on. I think boxing's supposed to be having some big fights coming soon. Where we at? June. 2 weeks. Tank Tank Davis versus Frank Martin. June 15th. On Amazon Prime.
It don't really move me.
I'm going ahead and Tank. Let me Tank. So the only questionable fight I have with Tank right now with that peer group is Shakur. And I don't think it's not that so much. I don't think he can't beat Shakur. I think he can't. It's hard. It's gonna be hard for him to catch him. Shakur with technical death by 1,000 cuts, stay on the outside, lick, step out.
Yeah, I'm just ready to see Terrence Crawford, Canelo.
Man, tell me about it. A lot of people ain't giving Crawford a chance.
Yeah, he had a chance, but it'll be a tough ass fight for him.
I think Crawford will get him. I'm gonna take Bud. Bud different.
This shit. Canelo different, bro.
Yeah, he is. He is. I completely agree. But Bud the type dude you'll catch doing yard work, going out fishing and stuff, and then go fight and then keep going.
That's all I got though, my boy.
Yeah, I'm looking through some of this stuff. See what's on Twitter. All right, man. We out of here. I'm trying to think when next time we'll be back. Your baby birthday coming up, ain't it?
Yeah, my daughter's birthday Wednesday.
Okay. So we'll probably be back on Sunday. I know we'll be back on Sunday. Hold on, I gotta look at the schedule. Who we talking to? Let's see. Pulling up the schedule. Is it UCLA? South Carolina on the 9th, on next Sunday. Yep. So we'll be talking South Carolina next Sunday. Make sure y'all tune in.
Bet, let's do it.
All right, let me get my theme music. Speaking of theme music, did you hear while I pull up the song? Did you hear Dion's new?
No, I haven't paid any attention to that, man.
Dion got a new song.
I literally couldn't care less.
I just think he's too old to be dropping it. I don't know if it's a nice little bop or not.
I'm not gonna listen to it, so.
Yeah. But all right, man. We'll be back next week. Like that, we out. This show was presented by betonline.ag.
Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on Twitter at Golden Boot. On Instagram at Golden Boot. On YouTube at The Golden Boot Pod. On Facebook at The Golden Boot Pod.
Golden Boot!